What if one of the best sources of sales intelligence has been sitting in plain sight the whole time? In this episode of Two Tall Guys Talking Sales, Kevin Lawson and O'Shaughnessey break down how sales professionals can use AI to turn a customer's 10K annual report into real selling insight, revealing strategic priorities, business risks, hiring direction, and revenue signals that can transform the quality of discovery and account conversations. They also show you how to prompt AI the right way so it delivers usable, evidence-based insight instead of generic summaries or invented conclusions. If you want sharper business acumen, stronger messaging, and a practical edge in complex B2B sales, stay with us.
Welcome back to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. This is Sean. Just want to start this episode off with a little bit of a conversation. How you sold in 1990, in 2000, in 2010, in 2020 is not how you're going to sell in 2030. And here it is. We're at 2026. We are launching into the second half of this decade, and things are changing rapidly. Now, if you know me, if you've listened to us talk a little bit, I talk about the future of sales a lot. I talk about AI. Kevin and I both talk about AI quite a bit. We help our clients figure out how to solve these problems. We talked about AI a lot in the B2B Sales Lab. The B2B Sales Lab is a community that Kevin and I created to help salespeople talk to each other, share ideas between each other, sales leaders to talk to each other, and also get some guidance on what to do next and how to grow their revenue model. Sometimes it's even business owners that get in there and they, as their sales leader for their company, are trying to figure out how to be better managers and how to take on a new responsibility. A community of places where we can talk and learn from each other is important. I don't care if you do that on LinkedIn. I don't care if you do that in your local community, but you need to have a community of people that you can go to. And if you don't, consider joining B2B Sales Lab. Go to b2b-sales-lab.com. Sign up, check it out. If it's not for you, that's fine. If it's something that you think is good, then stick around and help everybody else out and maybe learn a little bit. But to continue that conversation, let's talk about this big elephant in the room, Kevin, artificial intelligence. Kevin, what do you want to talk about with artificial intelligence?
It's not like an artificial limb. It's not made by others and you're just using it. Oh, but wait. Yes, it is. So artificial intelligence, I love this as a topic, and I love to also call out first, workflows and automation are different than artificial intelligence. And all the buzzwords we're hearing today in market are about AI, but so many businesses can also benefit from automation. Today, we're going to talk about AI, but if you haven't talked with your IT director or your fractional CIO or someone on your MSP team about automation and AI, you should reach out today just to start that conversation. But when I think about AI specifically, I think about how we can subordinate groups of tasks and logic to something that can act on my behalf the way I or other professionals or subject matter experts would act with a built-in logic, a decision tree beyond what I say is a trigger event and then something else subsequently happens. I want AI to be a thinking partner alongside of me.
I totally agree. And I think that let's dedicate this little episode, and we only have 15 minutes here, and you can't see us. We don't do demos on this podcast. Let's dedicate how to solve one simple problem. And it's not a simple problem. It's a problem that actually most salespeople don't do. Most salespeople don't read the annual report from their biggest customer. They don't download it. You can download any annual report. I remember when I was a young kid coming out of school, in order to get the annual report, you had to be an investor in the company, or you had to contact the company, their investor relations department, and they would mail it to you. Now, you just go to their website, you go to sec.gov. There's a lot of different ways. You can just search for it. You can find the annual report. Now, the annual report, it's a big, audacious document, right? It's got more numbers in it than you can shake a stick at. It is incredibly dense to read. It's hard to understand if you're not an MBA, if you don't have an MBA or if you don't have an MBA kind of mentality. It's not for those faint of heart, especially for that young salesperson that's out there that's just not familiar with investing. And even some old dogs that are out there that goes, what in the world is Kager? CAGR. Here's the reality of life. You got a friend, and your friend is AI. And we're going to give you some hints on how to have AI read the annual report and give you those nuggets of information so that you can do a great discovery call, a great catch up call or QBR with your customer. And we're going to give it to you in a way that is transportable by the AI tool that you want to use. Maybe your company is standardized on Copilot, or maybe your company is standardized on Gemini or on Chat or on Claude or on XAI or one of the other frontier models that are out there in the wild. We're going to give you some tips, some ideas on how to read that, how to put it in there, and how to make it happen. So I'm going to start the first thing off real quickly here and say, this is how you get your annual report for your customer. So the best way to do it, go to your customer's website. If they're a public corporation, they'll have an investors relations or investors area, or an about us. It'll be maybe sometimes tucked into there, but there will be a place where they will have the opportunity for you to download that annual report. And you want to get the latest one. And that may not be this year yet. It's only in March of 2026 as we do this episode. So there's a really good chance that they don't have it out yet for 2025. So maybe you're looking at 2024, but you download that. If you can't find it there, just Google it. I need the annual report for XYZ company, and Google will take care of finding it for you as well. Kevin, what do we do after we have the annual report? It's in PDF format, or maybe it's just still a link to the annual report right now. What do we do from there?
Sure. So the thing we want to make sure is that we've got the 10K annual report, not the 8K or the 10Q report. So 10K is the SEC's naming convention for the report you're looking for, because the other ones are quarterly, and the 10Q is a continuation of the annual report by quarter of the finances. But the 8 is about significant events, things that are happening inside the business. So to punctuate what Sean is talking about, we are looking for the 10K annual report. Now, this can also morph into a lot of other questions, but to keep it simple, let's just focus on the 10K today. We take that 10K and we download that to the PDF report like Sean talked about. There may be an audio call that goes with it. If there's an audio recording of the 10K report, download that as well. It should have a transcript. So what you end up with is a few documents in the voice of the company and the voice of the executives, which is representative of the board, reporting on the company for the past year's performance. And it also is forward-looking, so they tell you what they're going to do. Now, remember, Sean set this up really well when he said this is for salespeople who don't often have enough time to go through all this data. We want to take this data, upload it to a chat window, whichever flavor of chat you like, and load these documents up so that the large language model can review all the details of it. And what you're looking for is a synopsis, an overview, the key points. Sean, this is where art and science come together. The art for me is I like to give it a personality. And I typically use this phraseology. I'm curious what you use separately. I use the phraseology, act as a senior analyst who is tasked with developing key selling insights for this company based on their 10K and their executive call report readout transcript, and give me the top 5 initiatives for this company for the upcoming quarter and year. Make sure that you use strict language and do not make any assumptions based on this report. Only report exact quotes from this transcript and report, period. Now, Sean, that's where I start. That's a fairly simple approach to gleaning 100 pages or a couple hundred pages when you add in the report plus the transcript, a lot of data. Unless you are a speed reader and voraciously digest mountains of written text, this is a much faster way for you to gain insight as a seller to what your prospect or client is working on. Why do we do this? It's so important to understand why. It's not just because we don't have the time. It's because the company we're calling on, the prospect, is telling us in no uncertain terms what they're about to do, why they're about to do it, and what they've thought about in terms of risk, economy, political, social, technological, legal environments that could inhibit, stymie, or prevent it from happening. So they have built this comprehensive forward-looking plan based on what they think might happen, and they've adapted it to how they think their business will have needs throughout the upcoming quarters and year. That's so valuable for a seller. If you're a seller or a sales leader who's not mandating that your team do this, if you're in an enterprise sale, this should be number one for your next quarterly training. How do you develop an agent, a custom GPT, that can digest this information with the right prompts to give you sales insight? And if you want to become a pro, this is where you want to push in the clutch and find second or third gear and really build out a more robust trained model. We'll get to that later. That's AI 202, not 101. So come back for additional episodes or tune into Sean's podcast specifically around AI for that kind of insight. Sean, let's kick it over to you and let's hear how you would use the art of the prompt different than I would, because we're different and that makes it better.
So I loved your prompt. I thought it was really good. And I like telling the chat model, whichever one I'm going to be using, I like you telling the chat model, this is your job, right? So one thing I would potentially add to Kevin's prompt is a refresher for this chat model, because the chat model may or may not know who I am. So you may want to do with just the 2 or 3, 4 sentences of your elevator pitch of what product, what service do you provide, what things do you provide, and have the chat model answer the questions that Kevin gave you, and I'm going to give you a few more, but have the chat model answer those questions with the understanding of what you do. So if you sell machine tools, you sell big CNCs that cut metal, blah, 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 you're looking for something different than somebody that sells a CRM system. You're looking for different problems to solve, different problems your customer may have. So you may want to coach the model by just saying, this is the industry I'm in, and kind of list out whatever it says in your about box of LinkedIn. That's really about all you have to do. You don't have to be very creative, but list that out. Give it some context of who you are and what its job is. And the way Kevin said it was really good. You are a professional analyst of public corporations. Your job is to understand all of the issues that are happening to this company. Now, you've got this big resource, and Kevin gave you 4 or 5 questions to answer of that big resource. But you know what? Let's give you some cool things that you can ask. What's the expected revenue for the company for next year? Ask that question of the model. It's in the annual report. I can help you find it manually if you wanted to, but why? I got ChatGPT to do all that hard work for me. So ask it that. How many people is the company expecting to hire? What are the challenges that the company is expecting for hiring that many people? How are the geopolitical events that are rampant in our news coverage these days? What are the geopolitical events going to affect this model? I did a session for a bunch of salespeople, and I said, how do the tariffs that the US government is now applying on various countries across the world, how are the tariffs causing some companies to get better, have more revenue than they had in the past? How is it helping them? So I want to go call on those companies because let's go after that. So those are questions. You can ask a question. How do tariffs affect this company? How does the price of gas affect this company? All of those issues are discovered in the end report. Once again, it is an amazing resource. What are the lawsuits that the company is currently fighting that could affect the company, that could affect the company's well-being? Those are going to be itemized in there as well. And they're deep in the annual report. So good luck trying to find those manually, and good luck trying to understand what they're all about. And then when it says, hey, there's this lawsuit and it's being affected, now you can say, do me a favor, go research that lawsuit on other sources that you might have as well. You can get an immense amount of data about your client, about your prospect, by just having AI, your AI assistant, your AI intern to figure all that stuff out. Now, we took 15 minutes to talk about just one thing. That's a wealth of things that you can get just out of the annual report. So come back next week and the weeks after that. We're going to talk about more ways that we can improve sales. We're going to talk about more ways that we can use AI. We're going to talk about more ways we can just do better at having a conversation with the customer too. So please come back. We drop an episode of Two Tall Guys Talking Sales every Tuesday. And if you do want to talk to us, if you do want to get involved in having conversations with us directly, check out B2B Sales Lab. I talked about it at the beginning of the podcast. It's also in the show notes. And our assistant's going to tell you all about it again now, just as soon as we're over. Have a great week. Happy selling.
What a sharp episode this was. Practical, current, and full of the kind of thinking that separates reactive sellers from strategic ones. One point that really stood out was the discussion on how to prompt AI to extract selling insight from a customer's 10K without drifting into assumptions, because that is where the real value begins. Telling the model to act as a senior analyst, focus only on the source material, and identify the company's actual priorities, risks, and forward-looking initiatives. That technique matters because it turns a dense annual report from a document most salespeople avoid into a usable tool for better discovery, stronger messaging, and more credible business conversations. Just as important was the actionable challenge from this episode. Pick one target account, download its most recent 10K, and any executive transcript you can find, and run it through your preferred AI platform today. Do it now, before the day gets away from you, because this is exactly the kind of high-value prep work that gets pushed aside in the rush of meetings, follow-ups, and firefighting. If you build the habit, you will improve your business acumen, strengthen your sales process, and walk into customer conversations with a point of view that most competitors simply will not have. And if you need help with sales, sales management, or growing your company, reach out to Sean or Kevin using the contact information in the show notes. You should also take a look at the B2B Sales Lab, a community built for salespeople and sales leaders who want real answers, strong resources, and practical support to help them hit quota. You'll find the URL in the show notes as well. Be sure to subscribe to Two Tall Guys Talking Sales on your favorite podcast player so you do not miss the next conversation when a fresh episode drops next Tuesday afternoon Eastern. Happy selling!